Okay, sorry.
Well, I just think that
I don't think anybody's broached Social Security with them. I mean, my kid's, Tim is very well educated, and yet when I proposed that subject and said that, he said, why should he worry about it, because it's not going to be there.
right, right.
But and it's sad to think that they believe that.
Yes.
Hopefully in their U.S. history classes or the U.S. government classes, somebody touched on the New Deal and somebody said something about, well, part of that was Social Security. And they kind of leave it at that, like everybody knows what Social Security is. They take it out of your paycheck.
But now everybody knows, but
Yeah,
at that
but
age,
why?
it's not
And
going
what
to
is
be
it
there.
for?
But see,
What does it
part
do?
of it is what Alan was saying, though, that the media keeps saying that.
Right.
Yeah.
If they're getting that message from the media, so that they're
And it's a
not
wrong
creating
message.
an expectation that it will be there. And I think all of us, I think about my grandparents who, were just pre-Social Security, and had mining pensions and other things that they were hoping would see them
be
through.
there.
But there was a vulnerability for that generation, and I think for our parents and for us, we've known that Social Security was there, and we built it into whatever plan to be able to sustain yourself after you retire. And I would hope that it will be there for our children as well.
I know, but our children would benefit if our children are beyond that. But our children's children might benefit if anything were to happen to our children, and it would help them to be able to raise their own children. And I think they forget, we talk about Social Security as just being for the elderly, but I think we forget these other groups that it benefits, like the disabled and the survivor benefits.
My daughter's, Molly's a great example of that. She's got 3 young children now to raise on her own
Yes.
after the loss of their dad.
How old is Molly?
Molly's 38. So she's got,
So he has a long way to go.
she's got a long way to go.
And how old are Molly's children?
They're 9, 11, and 13.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So they've lost their dad. They need their mom's attention. She can give them better attention with that benefit coming in.
And be able to provide
And
for
be
them.
able to manage to be a parent, a full-time parent
Yeah.
to them. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Are you gonna?
Well, it was developed as a safety net. That was the premise for Social Security, that it was a safety net primarily to begin with, I think, for the elderly, because when the Depression came, and if the elderly had any savings, it was gone. The banks lost it all. And so they were destitute, and there were a lot of them. And so they were on public assistance of some sort or another, whether it be some kind of cash or whether it be just food, some sort of coupons for food, or just a dole
Living
of
with
some
their
sort.
children.
Living with their children. But it was, and everybody, it hurt, financially it strapped everybody. And so, as a safety net, that wouldn't happen again if we got into dire economic times. So we're in dire economic times, and people who had money not only, were depending on Social Security, but had their whole retirement in some sort of investment program. And when it crashed, they only had Social Security, but they had that. At least they would eat, maybe be able to keep a roof over their heads, which is minimal, but that's better than being on the street. That, I think, is something that in a country like ours should be guaranteed. And it's guaranteed in other democracies. Why not ours? And I think, as a point I made before, tried to make before, was that in a democracy, at least a facet of democracy, is that that we look after each other. The family thing, as the president said, is what we are. We're a family, and we look after each other. And I think a good example of how that works is taxes. In terms of federal taxes, some states, our own included, pay a lot more into taxes than we receive back for what we put in. But the reason for that is there are other states that don't have as much, and they have the same needs as everybody else. So those tax dollars go to those states to help them. And you could say, well, what, if we put in $1, we expect $1 back. And that's not the way it works. That's not the way our democracy works, because we're all here and we depend on the common good. And without the common good, we wouldn't have a democracy. So, I mean, I think it's very theoretical kinds of stuff, but I think it makes sense. So, you know, you take a state like New York, puts in, for every dollar they put in, they get about 80 cents back. But a state like Alabama, for every dollar they put in, they get $1.80 back. Something like that. I'm not sure those are entirely accurate, but the proportions are there. And I think that you know, people don't realize that. They don't understand that concept. And there's too much of me in it today, I think. So it's important that people know it, and that I've never complained about paying taxes. I've complained about how I managed the money so I didn't have to pay anymore. But I've never complained about paying them, because I appreciate what it brings, even if it isn't bringing back more money than $1 for our state. Wish it did. Sometimes it will, you know, but that's the way it works.